You're probably sat there thinking, she didn't say detach very often. And I feel like she hasn't just sat there and said, block them on Instagram, do this, do that. No. What we've just done is gone into why you can't detach from your ex, the mindset shifts to detach from your ex, and then we've done a small practical exercise and built a routine that you can take into your daily life that is going to help you move forward with mentally detaching from your ex. It's not physically detaching from your ex, it's mentally. And it all starts with self-trust, and it all starts with that mindset shift. Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of Coming Up for Air with myself, Lou. Sometimes I think I nail this. Sometimes I'm like, oh my god, we've got it done. I've managed to work out how to attach my camera wirelessly to the recording equipment that I have, to the program that I have, to connect the microphone, everything like that. I've just sat and spoke for about 10-15 minutes and realised that the microphone was just on its stand over there, and I was like, what is going on? How did I forget that I needed to connect my microphone? I'm just checking that it is actually working. Yeah, great. Yeah, sometimes I think I'm like, I nail it and I'm like, I've got all of this done. I've got such a good routine. It takes me about an hour to record, an hour and a half to edit, got everything, equipment. Someone told me the other day that my background looks professional. Yeah, started and didn't have my microphone in front of me. So not ideal. Anyway, we're back. We've got the microphone now and it's gloriously sunny outside. And also, can I say one thing? The other day I was just looking whilst I was recording and I thought, oh my God. So when I started this YouTube channel this year, I said I was going on like a hair journey to get my hair in better condition before I bleached it for the summer. And I cannot believe how far my blonde actually is now. So everybody that's like watching, sorry for everyone that's listening, but everyone that's watching on YouTube, my blonde is like down below my eyes now. I have booked my hair in to get re-bleached in May. I'm using an amazing hair oil, which for the life of me, I cannot remember what it's called off the top of my head, but I will find out. So if you are interested in getting your hair into the best condition, please let me know and I'll tell you. It's very expensive. I think it's like £45 a bottle, but my hair needed it. It needed to just have a little bit of a break to grow out. I've given it like since about October now, just a bit of a break from the bleach. And every girl listening to this that bleaches their hair knows they get to the point where like my ends are so dry and I get out of the shower and my hair's practically dry now. But yeah, I noticed the other day, I was like, oh, when I started this channel, I said I was going on a hair journey. Now I feel like my hair is in quite good condition. So a little bit of a tangent this morning, but I did just notice that. Anyway, welcome back to Coming Up for Air. If you have seen, I am getting in my reviews for my courses now and they are coming in thick and fast. I'm very, very grateful if you have bought my Becoming the Strongest Version of Yourself course. I'm extremely grateful if you have taken your time to review it as well. I'm going to do some admin tomorrow and upload all the reviews that I've got. If it is something that you want to buy, I've seen quite a few people buy it still at this £40 price point. So I'm just going to leave it at £40 for a bit longer. If you're on the fence, please just message me and I can give you a full breakdown of the course. I noticed the other day that I didn't actually put in what is included in the course. One of my lovely followers actually messaged me and was like, what's actually included? And I was like, valid question, because I haven't actually put that on the description. So yeah, I can give you a full breakdown of what's included and how to use it. It's basically a 4-week course, so you know you can do it as and when you want. And I know that I'm speaking to a girl at the moment who's done week 1, she's doing it for 4 weeks, then she's moving on to week 2 for 4 weeks because she says that she really wants to get the most out of what I've taught her within the course. So that is available. There's a link, just follow it to my Stan store. I'll put that below. If you want more content like this, then please head over onto my Patreon. It's $4.50 a month. I've just recorded a episode about your ex getting into a rebound relationship. I've uploaded that onto my Patreon because one of my Patreon followers requested that I recorded something like that. So if you do want a more in-depth sort of chat, or if you want me to talk about more personal things, then that is the place to be. I talk about rebound relationships, I talk about cheating, I talk about money, I talk about selling houses, I talk about a lot of personal things over there that I wouldn't want to share with somebody that could just basically log onto their Spotify and like pull it up. There is a subscription fee of $4.50 a month. So if that is something that you want to get involved in, then head over to my Patreon too and sign yourself up. We can have a little chat. Also, news. I am going to be doing an episode today on detaching from your ex. I've also created a guide because I feel like people can listen to podcasts or watch podcasts and not really digest what has been put in that episode. So I've made a guide that is being released over the weekend, and so if you do want to get your hands on that, again, it will be available on my Stan store. It is just a guide, there's no video prompts or anything like that. Really easy, PDF, just downloadable onto your phone. It's kind of like I'm going to talk about today, but just in more depth. So more practical advice, how to build a daily routine and all the rest of it. That's all going into that guide. The reason why I'm doing this episode today, the reason why I created that guide, and the reason why I am passionate about this subject is because I was just, floating around the hemisphere of healing, breakups and all of that jazz. And if you follow me on my Coming Up for Air Instagram, you know that I've asked you to follow me on my running account, which now isn't going to solely be about running. It's going to be about my podcast and everything in between. I've decided to merge into one, and this week creating content has been so much easier and it has reflected in my views. So like I've managed to make a reel and a TikTok. I'll come back to that in a second, but I have been able to make a video that has gone viral, and that is because I've been able to just focus myself on my TikTok and my Instagram. I haven't got 2 Instagram accounts to kind of load up, and I don't know whether you know as well, I actually am working pretty hard in the background of YouTube as well. I upload 2 YouTube short videos a day, and they're getting a couple of thousands of hits a day. I've just been onto my analytics. I've got 34,000 views this week alone, I think. But I post twice a day on there as well, just my podcast clips. So there is a lot to be doing. There's a lot that goes on in like the back office that people don't really see. I do feel like this week has been a lot less chaotic with just having the 2 accounts like TikTok and Instagram to manage. So I am a lot happier over there. Anyway, what I was going to say was, if you haven't done, please go and follow my running account. It's called Move with Lou. I decided not to change the name. I was thinking about Lou living. There's an Alice living, and also living kind of gave the connotations of like, I don't know, like home. And I don't post content like that. So my brother-in-law actually said to me, like, you should keep it as Move with Lou, because you're still going to post about Pilates and running on there, and it's kind of like a connotation for like moving through life. And if anything, I have obviously healed out loud, we all know that, and my running account was kept and was a stable sort of regular thing. I posted every day pretty much going throughout my breakup. Even when I wasn't talking about my breakup, I posted every day. And he was like, it's kind of like a good connotation for moving through life. So I really liked that, so I kept it. So I've kept my Move with Lou account, but like I said, if you don't follow me over there, please go and follow me over there. So annoying, I can't link it to my TikTok. TikTok has like got a bug at the moment, and you can't link it. So when people find me on TikTok, they can't find me on Instagram, and it's really irritating because as much as I slate Instagram, I don't slate it, but as much as like it's not my favorite platform to be creating content on at the moment, it is good. It's good for like building relationships and stuff. So I created a TikTok video this week, and it's from last weekend when I was out in the pub, and my best friend videoed me, and I cannot for the life of me remember why he took out his camera and videoed me, but all I know is that I've stood up and I'm gonna go into the bar to get a drink, but I declare it in a typical Lou way. I like fling my arm up in the air. Hopefully you've seen it, and hopefully you know what I'm talking about, and I just make it a little bit fabulous. And he videoed me, and so I sent him a message on Monday saying like, can you send me that video, because all my content is me videoing myself, because I mean, 99% of the time I am with guys. Like my friendship group that I go out with is guys, because all my girl group have got kids and stuff, and they're 32, they're not really going out a lot. So like the lads just don't even think about not recording me, it's not in that way, but you know how you get like candid videos? I don't really have a lot of them, and so like I texted him because I was like, I don't really have a lot of candid videos, like, and that one I'm smiling, I'm having a really good time. Oh my God. So there is a trend at the moment called women in their 30s, and I thought I'm going to jump on the back of this because I'm a 32-year-old woman, and all the women on that trend just looked incredible, and I thought this is going to be my take on it, like, you know, make it relatable to my audience if they're going through a breakup or if they're single, not to be scared about being single in their 30s. The backlash that I've had from that video, and I've sat here, and I know I've sat here for a while and said I filter my comments. I always have done. I sit at the end of every week and I just make sure there's no horrible comments on my videos. I had a video go viral before and I spelt loose wrong, and the amount of abuse that I got from that video alone, I actually lost track of like being able to delete the comments of people calling me illiterate and all the rest of it. Honest mistake to make. I now check my grammar and stuff and my spelling quite a lot. But it was just ridiculous, just like keyboard warriors just coming for me. Anyway, I hadn't really realised, because when I post, I just presume that people either listen to my podcast or they have followed me from my Instagram account. And then I have to remember that on TikTok, I've got 200,000 followers. And if I've posted a quote, somebody's probably just liked it or like just gone, oh, quote, follow, clicked, followed, and might not know my story. I'd probably say like 50,000 potentially people might know my story out of like the 200,000. So, and even less that listen to my podcast know that I knock around with a boy group. And I hadn't realised how it looks. It's just me being me, and yeah, I'm just surrounded by lads, and they are younger than me. And one of the comments was like flaunting it in the pub in front of a group of teenagers. Now they're not that young, but they are in their 20s. And I have had to sit every morning. I've dreaded opening my TikTok app in the morning to see how many people have commented it. And so I've got like my filtered words on TikTok. I've had to filter out teenagers. I've had to filter out slag, whore, attention seeker, beg. I've had to filter so many words, and every day I've woke up with like 20 filtered comments from it, which might not seem a lot, but if I wasn't deleting them every single day, I would be getting like 100 to 200 comments a week. All negative comments, all from men. I was so disappointed, but also like I was like, oh my God, this is like the other side of going viral. Like this is what people want to go viral, and they want their followers to go up. And I mean, it's brought in not loads of followers on TikTok, not as many as like say another viral video has, but it's brought me in new Instagram followers. And Instagram, I woke up this morning, I had 4 comments, and one was like attention seeking, and I can't filter the comments on Instagram. I don't really know how to. It's easier to do it on TikTok. That's why I like TikTok more. It's a lot safer place to be. But because TikTok pushes your content out so far, you open yourself up to complete keyboard warriors who make it their one life goal to sit online and abuse people. You open yourself up to that. Whereas like Instagram hasn't got that. And so Instagram, you do open yourself up to like a load of people just seeing your stuff. And sometimes I forget that it's not just going out to say the 16,000 people that follow me. It's going out to a lot more people, and a lot more people will probably take issue with it. I've had to like filter comments that say like, oh, you're running your miles up. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, that's been the entertainment for this week. I can't predict when my content is going to go viral. I think that video on TikTok's sitting at about 420,000 views. And so for me, that would probably be one of my best performing videos. However, I didn't think it'd get that much traction because the trend alone, the women on that trend, they are like immaculate and they've thought about it. I'm just flailing around in a pub. The funniest thing is someone's actually tagged somebody that I know in my TikTok video saying, is this your local? And I've clicked on them and I recognise them, and I think, oh my God, sometimes I do forget how far like TikTok can push your like videos out. Anyway, it's been very entertaining, and I felt like I just had to come on and debrief because I put a horrible I got on my Instagram, and you know what? When I posted that, I actually lost a lot of followers, which is sad because I wasn't pointing the finger at all men. It's not all men. And like, I had a message from one of my loyal followers who I've got a good relationship with, and he was like, it's not all men, but it always is men on like the like women's like TikTok and stuff. And don't get me wrong, I've had a message from a woman saying like, I shouldn't be talking about being single and being 32 because, you know, women's body clocks are running out of time and all the rest of it. And so I've had like one negative comment from a woman, and it was just so disappointing. And then when I went on to like my analytics and to see where like people were coming from to find my content, to see where I needed to post next, if I needed to post on my TikTok or my Instagram, you do have to think of it. It's like strategic. You strategically plan your content, and you strategically plan when you post as well. I don't think a lot of people realise that a lot of planning goes into like building an audience online, but I went on and I realised that when I posted that picture of a man being nasty, I lost a lot of followers. And actually, funnily enough, a lot of my followers are male. I have more male followers than I do female. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm going to now go out into a new community in Instagram. I've loved the running community, but hopefully now my reels and my hashtags are going to push me further into, say, like a healing single era sort of algorithm. So I'm going to pick up people now that maybe might need my content, might find my content useful, and so hopefully it will drop the people that don't want to see me thriving and having a nice time in a pub. But yeah, the way it looks, and the funniest thing, one of my friends, Troy, is in the background, who I only met Troy about, I'm going to say 2-3 months ago, through my best friend Ross. I met him through Ross's rugby team. And he's a young lad, but he's so lovely. And Troy's in the background, and he's been picked up. Like, one of the women's put like, oh, I love the cheeky little rosy-cheeked boy in the background. So I was like, screenshotted it, sent it to Ross. I was like, please, can you just message Troy and say that he's gone viral with me on TikTok? Like, maybe I should have asked before I posted it if he minded being in the video, but like I said, I can't predict how well the videos do. You can see like trending sounds and stuff and how well they're performing, and obviously you pick up a trending sound and you want it to perform well. However, sometimes the randomest piece of my content go like viral. It's very strange. Anyway, that is my little debrief. I thought that I'd just bring you a story this week instead of a debrief of my week. We're obviously going into the bank holiday weekend. Today is Easter Friday, so happy Easter to everybody who listens and celebrates Easter. I hope you have a brilliant long weekend. I have got the quietest Easter weekend I think I've had in a very long time. I mean, I've got plans, but my bestie is in Brussels, so he's out the country, so I feel like we are going to do less drinking. One of my friends who we see regularly sing is really good. He's going to watch him sing on Saturday, and then on Sunday, which is a day that I would usually typically, do you know what, actually I would usually typically be out on the Thursday. I am going out this evening. I'm recording on a Thursday. I am going out this evening. I'm actually in on Friday, out on Saturday, and hopefully on Sunday I'm going to try and see if my mum can make some form of an Easter roast. I haven't had a roast dinner for ages. So yeah, I've actually got a quiet weekend, but I hope you all have gorgeous Easter weekends. Like I said, this week I'm going to talk about detaching from your ex, but I'm going to talk about it in a way that is emotional detachment rather than like physical attachment, rather than the classic advice of like block, delete, you know, all the physical things you can do. I'm going to talk about emotional detachment. Like I said, I have made it into a course that will be available over the weekend, so keep your eyes peeled for that. It might even be ready for when I release this podcast episode, but I don't want to put too much pressure on myself because I don't want it to go out just because I've said it's going to go out on Friday. But if that is something that you need help with, if you think that you can't detach from your ex, then hopefully my guide or course or whatever you want to call it will help you do that. I will upload that, and then if you just watch out on my Instagram, on my TikTok, I will say when that has gone live. So without further ado, guys, I've got my peppermint tea. Go and grab yourself a drink and let's get into it. So as always, guys, I've got my notes up here. So sorry if it's really like off-putting that I look over here, but sometimes when I do episodes like this, I like to gather like all my therapy notes, and like I research online and I add in my own sort of story to it as well. So I like to just keep my notes up here, and so I know that I'm not going off on a tangent. I sometimes listen back to my earlier episodes and I think, oh my god, my mind, you can tell it's like ping 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 ping, because I'm like jumping from one thing to another, and especially episodes like this, I like to keep them clear and concise. So sorry if you see my eyes flickering over there, it's just because my notes are over there. Anyway, we're going to start off about talking about detaching from your ex. And like I just said, it's not in the case of like detaching, being able to like block them, move out of your house. Sometimes I think that like emotional detaching from your ex comes before physically detaching from your ex. And I know that because when I sold the house, it was like a year after we had split up. And for me, people would say like, you have to detach from your ex, you have to sell the house, you have to get a new job. Obviously I worked for my ex, and I continued to live in the house, I continued to work for my ex, but I was emotionally detaching from him. And I think if you have not been to therapy, I mean, actually no, that's wrong. If you have never gone through a breakup before, and if you haven't really sat with the emotions of going through a breakup before, what you don't realize is you don't actually need to do that stuff first. What you need to do is make sure that you are detaching from them emotionally, and that you are putting things into your daily routine that is making you think, do you know what, I'm letting go a little bit now, I'm letting go a little bit now. My therapist said to me, what emotional detachment is when you are basically saying to your ex, your rent's done, your time's up, stop living rent-free in my mind. And that term rent-free is obviously everywhere, but like you can actually apply it to this. They are living rent-free in your mind. You are not charging them enough rent to be in your head, and they shouldn't be there in the first place. But like, that's how my therapist said to me, like, he is living rent free in your head and it's affecting you. And not selling the house, you know, potentially getting a new job might have helped, but like selling the house, blocking him on Instagram, you know, that doesn't make them go out of your mind. They're still there, they're still in your head, they're still living rent free in your mind. So hopefully after this episode you will have gone away with a few things that you can actually implement in your daily routine, something to think about. And also, like I said, together with the course that I've created, hopefully you'll be able to start on some form of path or journey to be able to detach from your ex. Because I sometimes think, and obviously I always say that I'm fortunate, and I was fortunate to be able to find a therapist that I gelled with, and have the money to be able to do so. If I hadn't have sold my house, I wouldn't have been able to afford therapy. I'm very honest when it comes to like my money and everything like that. Like, I have a lot of therapy costs sitting on a credit card, but to me, it's worth it. I see it as a, you know, I pay the monthly fee off my credit card. It's like a loan, but that is just so irrelevant to me because I needed the therapy. I will always say, disclaimer, if you can't afford to get therapy, do not go and take out a credit card, because you have to make sure you can afford it. However, for me, I've always had a really good relationship with credit cards. I've always been very money positive. This isn't me saying go and take out a credit card. I had the money to do therapy because I'd sold the house, but then obviously life gets in the way, and so I was putting certain sessions onto a credit card, whatever. Again, tangent, see? But when you go to therapy and you've been through a breakup before, you know you have to get rid of the emotional detachment loads, like way before you do all the blocking and the no contact and stuff like that. So I'm just going to start to talk to you about the mindset shifts. The two first mindset shifts that you need to kind of think about, because I talk a lot about closure. I've done an episode on not gaining closure, and I sometimes used to get annoyed with my therapist because she would like harp on about the fact that like closure's not important. And I had this conversation with my best friend the other day. I was saying, you know, the amount of times that I used to tell my ex what he'd done and how he felt was embarrassing. Like, why am I telling somebody that knows what they've done and how it's made them actually feel, but I'm telling them what they've done and how they should be feeling? Like, for me, you're not going to get closure from somebody who doesn't feel the same way as you do about a situation. So you actually chasing closure and saying, I need that one last conversation, one last talk, one last this, one last that. Sometimes you can do more damage. She was saying that closure wasn't a myth. It wasn't the fact that she didn't believe in it. What she was trying to say is that the mindset shift is what you should have, is like, you're not seeking closure, you're seeking like self-trust. And you are trusting yourself that you can walk away from a situation and not have to go back there and ask the questions just to see if you can get the closure that you need. Closure should be about being able to trust yourself to walk away, and knowing that walking away and not having that conversation is more peaceful than trying to beat feelings out of somebody. And I think I said this, it was either on my hour-long episode or my Patreon. When you are sat in front of somebody that is not saying all the things that you want them to say, they're not saying, I feel like this, I'm really sorry, you know, I wish I never did that. One of the most triggering things that I think my ex used to say to me was that, I'm sorry, I feel this way, and I'm sorry that you feel the way you're feeling. And it was almost like, yeah, no, I hate that, because like, you're not sorry that I feel this way, and the way that I feel is because of how you feel. And it just used to irritate me, because it was like, well, I can't help the way I feel. No, you can't, but also like the fact that you can't tell me how you feel is hurting me, which is why my feelings are getting hurt. And when you are sat in front of somebody that cannot talk about their emotions, you are never going to get the closure that you want. The closure is never going to be able to be like chapter closed, done, dusted. Those final conversations, I mean, if you've managed to have a final conversation and you feel like you can move on and you have enough closure, great. But very, very rarely have I spoken to somebody that's had a final conversation and thought, hey, do you know what? That's all the closure that I wanted. 99% of the time you're sat there in front of somebody that can't tell you how they feel, can't be honest with what they've done, and it just makes you go away more infuriated because they're not saying the things that you want to hear. And so you need to trust yourself to walk away even without the answers. And that's what I mean about shifting it from getting closure to actually like, hey, do you know what? Self-trust. I'm going to trust myself and I'm going to walk away, because this brings me more peace, because I know how I'm feeling is valid. And now this is where I come in, because I'm sitting here telling you that I sat in front of somebody that couldn't give me closure, and that I've had to walk away. And now in a situation, if I'm ever faced with it again, I think, hey, do you know what? I know my feelings. I know that the way that I've been treated and the way I feel is completely normal. And so I'm telling you how you feel is completely normal. Just because it's not hurting them doesn't mean it's not allowed to not hurt you. And you can walk away knowing that there is probably thousands of people out there that are going to be able to say to you, if they ever met you, hey, I felt the same way as that. The fact that they can't give you closure, they're the anomaly. This is completely normal. And the way that you cope with that mindset shift is being able to ask yourself, what daily questions are you going over in your head? What are the unanswered questions? I'm going to tell you this now. How have you done that is a question you will never, ever, 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 ever gain closure from. Ever. How have you done that to me? And the reason why, and I've always said, and I've done an episode on it, you don't understand why someone has treated you that way, because you would never do it. So if that has come up on your question of like, how have they done this to me? How have they cheated on me? How have they done this? How have they done X, Y, and Z? If that keeps coming up, trust me, and please trust me on this, you will never gain closure from that, because you cannot put yourself in someone's shoes if you wouldn't act like that. If they've cheated on you and you would never cheat, how are you ever going to be able to see eye to eye? You're not the same person. And so like, you're never going to be able to understand, because you can't put yourself in that person's shoes. And it's almost like when people say to me about like not having children and stuff, I can't relate to having children in a breakup, and I'm sorry that I can't. I wish that I could. But I've seen obviously my sister and my brother have children, and I know how it would destroy our family if, you know, there was a breakup involved or whatever. Touch wood, it never happens. But like, I can kind of relate, but I can't put myself in someone's shoes. So like, I always say with my advice, you know, if you have children, take it with a pinch of salt. It's all well and good me sitting here being like, block them, and you're like, they're the father of my children. It is really hard, but hopefully like you can take some of sort of the mindset shifts away or some of the things away and relate it to what you're going through. But think about the questions that you are asking over and over and over and over and over, and think as to why you aren't getting the answers. I'm pretty certain that it's because you can't relate to what they've done. And thank God you can't relate to what they've done, because you are not that person and you would never bring that level of pain into somebody's life. The second mindset shift that I just wanted to talk about was understanding the emotional loop that you will get caught in. And I went through this because I went through some quite sad times when I went through my breakup, and just like, little things. We lost a really close family friend, and I tell the story and I tell it in my book that I'm writing as well. Our next door neighbour's cat died, and we were really fond of him, and as a couple when we moved in we used to absolutely love him, and we never got close to him, but he used to sleep in our wood store and we loved him. His name was Milo, and we had Milo, and though I can't even remember the other cat's name, but we used to call him Mr. Suspicious because he was always so skittish on our patio. Anyway, Milo died, and I remember that being like the first sad thing that kind of happened, and I had an absolute meltdown over it because I was just so sad. But the one person that knew how much I loved Milo was my ex, and I had no one to pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm really upset about the fact that my neighbour's cat's died, because like my family wouldn't have understood because they didn't live with me. Only he kind of knew how much I used to absolutely love this cat, and he loved him too. Well, he said he did, who knows. But I was like stuck in this emotional loop that like when I went through something that prompted more emotion, especially with something that my ex could relate to, I would be then like, oh my God, like I've got no one to talk to, I've got no one to pick up the phone, I miss him so much. And things would like prompt me back into like this loop, because you go through life with somebody and then all of a sudden you don't have that person to pick up the phone. It's kind of like, when I doubted myself with the half marathon, yes, we were still in contact still, and he was saying like, you can do this, I don't want to be at the finish line, but you can do this. It was like that emotional loop that I got stuck in, that it was like, oh, I'm really stressed out about this situation. Who would I usually lean on? My ex. And like I always say, I credit where's credit's due. He used to talk me off the ceiling, and he was the only person that I realistically used to feel calm around. And if I was having a really rough day and an angry day, there was nothing that he could do that wouldn't make me feel calm, So like he was my calming person. And he used to sort things out. Whenever I was worrying about things, it always used to feel like a problem halved with him. He was really good at that. And when you lose that person, you get stuck in this emotional loop. Like, I've not got anybody to talk to. Oh my God, I miss my ex so much. I'm just going to pick up the phone. I'm just going to reach out. When realistically, you miss them, yes you do, but you also miss the feeling of being safe around them. Being on your own makes you feel really unsafe, because especially when you are suffering with your mind, and I talk about this very lightly because there's some things that I don't talk about, but when you've got intrusive thoughts and they are consuming you, it's an incredibly scary place to sit by yourself. And so you have to kind of detach from the fact that yes, you miss them, but you also miss the feeling of being safe. So you can't really do anything about the fact that you miss them, especially if it's their decision to leave. What you don't want to do is be picking up the phone and talking to them. So the only thing you can really control is the safe element. And you can't ring him and be like, hey, can you come and make me feel safe? Trust me, I did that as well. It made me feel 10 times worse because his reaction wasn't the reaction that I wanted. And now looking back, I'm like, why did I do that? But at the time, your emotion takes over. And so it's the safe element that you can control. So take that safe element and find things that make you feel safe. And for me, it was creating a safe environment. And I've talked about this before. My safe environments were small. My house was very airy, very open. It felt very not safe at times, and my downstairs bathroom was very small, very confined, and for some reason, and I don't know why, but for some reason I found so much comfort in that space. And when I felt like, oh my God, I feel so unsafe, I would put myself in a smaller environment. This might not work for you if you're claustrophobic. It might be the opposite. You might have to go out for a walk, you might have to do breath work, you might have to do all of that. But I found a safe environment in my downstairs toilet, and I would just lock the door, and that was what made me feel safe. Oh, I've just lost all the light. Sorry guys, I think I've just lost all the light because the sun's gone in, so like the light's just gone down. British weather, great. But I created this safe environment, and that was the downstairs toilet, and being able to lock the door was so important. And it's so strange to like talk back on this now, because at the time it made so much sense to me that I was able to get into a confined space, a smaller space, where I could think about just being in that space, being able to lock the door. And people would argue, yeah, but you're in your house and you can lock your front door. You can, but there was just so much space. And so I'd take my journal in and I would sit in that toilet. I can hear the fan now, and I would just write everything down of how I was feeling. I created a new safe space, and eventually that just became my safe space. And you know, you can do breath work, you can, you know, call on somebody else, find somebody else that you can create like an emotionally soothing habit with. And even like sometimes when I was having a bad day, I would go up to my favourite coffee shop, and at the time my best friend was working, well, both my best friends were working there actually. And so I was able to go take my laptop up there and be surrounded by people that I really knew, people that I didn't know, strangers and stuff. And it would make me feel calm, because I'd be like, actually, no, I'm really safe here. And do you know why I'm really safe? Because I'm not asking somebody questions that's going to hurt my feelings, and I'm not opening myself up to more hurt. I'm creating a safe environment where I don't have to feel like, oh, hold on a second, like, why have you done that? Why don't you want to come see me? Why don't you miss me? Why don't you do that? All those questions that are making your environment so unsafe, you're away from. And I think people don't realise the power that actually has when you break the emotional loop. And yes, you miss them, and yes, you think, oh, I really miss them, and you're having a really bad time or having a really stressful day at work. Find the safe space, because you're like, you can't depend on them anymore. And that might sound harsh, and I hate being so blunt sometimes, but sometimes you do have to hear it. So a lot of my content does overlap. There's a lot of things that you can take from one episode and put it into the other, and a lot of the things I talk about, I do overlap. I try not to repeat myself, but I just wanted to touch on, I know I said there was just 2 mindset shifts that I wanted you to think about, but like just as a third, and one that I've just thought about whilst reading my notes, I think one of the hardest things to do is to separate the fantasy from the reality. And my therapist calls this cognitive diffusion. And it was because I was so caught up on the fact that my ex had changed. And I think the hardest thing for me was the fact that we had planned our entire future. I knew exactly what we were like going to do, exactly where we wanted to be, our goals, our dreams, everything. We had planned absolutely everything. And then this person existed that I was like, who the hell is this man? And where has he come from? And where's the man that wanted to do all of this with me? And where's the man that wanted to do all of that with me? I really struggled with this, and it was like my therapist made it really, really known that I really struggled with it, because my sentences that I was saying to her were, but we had done this, but we had planned this, but he's so nice, but he's done this. And I was saying all these positive things about him because during our relationship, he was all those things. And this is where like it frustrates me about me putting content online. I think people think that I sit and slate my ex. I don't, ever. And like, I just tell a story of what happened with our breakup and how he handled it and how I handled it and how I'm handling healing. And like during our relationship, he was great. And the fact that he changed was something that I really, really struggled with. And that's why I always say that like a lot of my closure came from the fact that like I wouldn't want to be with somebody like him now. That's not me saying I wouldn't want to be with him because of X, Y, and Z. It's me saying I wouldn't want to be with him because I know his track record, because I know what he did to me. Do you know, like, I'm not saying that's because I know him now as a person, because I don't. I've not known him for the past 3 years of my life. But for me, I just know what I went through and what he put me through, and I wouldn't want to be with a person like that. That realization did not come overnight. That form of closure did not come overnight. And it's something that you can work on yourself, definitely, but don't expect to feel like that overnight, because that has taken me years to put into practice, like daily affirmations to remind me that he is a person that if I went on a date with them and I said, what happened with your ex, and they told me the whole story, I'd be like, ugh. probably not for me, you know? But that just comes with healing and growing. But just going back to what I was saying, when I was sat in my therapy room, my therapist was saying, you are going to have to detach yourself from the person you thought he could have been. Doesn't exist anymore. He doesn't exist anymore. Most of the time we miss the idea of the person and we're getting muddied with all of that we're actually not looking at the person and who they've become and the personality traits that they've got and everything that they've managed to do to you. That is ingrained in them, and we're not talking about that. We're talking about what they could have done. And I say this to my friends all the time: why would you want a project? Like, we're not there to be able to tell our exes where they've gone wrong, what they've done, and how to heal. They're fully grown adults, for one. They should be able to do that themselves. If they have ever reached out and asked for forgiveness, I have never had that happen to me. But like, if they've reached out and asked for forgiveness because they truly understand that what they did was wrong and how they've acted is wrong, even then it's in them. And you have to be able to say, no, like, your potential is gone now and it's ruined. You've ruined your potential. And so every single time you feel that like little prang in your mind, like, we could have had such a good future, because I used to say that to myself all the time. We could have had such a good future. We could have done this. We could have done that. Yeah, we could have done. But I could also find somebody that would want to do that with me, that didn't have the capabilities of doing what my ex did to me, you know? So like, every single time you feel that prang, just think, do I miss the person or do I miss the potential? And when you start thinking about the potential, I know, you know, I bang on about being single, but like, that potential lives in anyone that you meet. You could meet somebody tomorrow, get talking to them, and you could think, we have that in common. We could do this, we could do that. All of a sudden you've got potential in a new person, a person that's never hurt you the way that your ex has hurt you. And again, like I say, and I stress this is not just going to happen overnight. These revelations aren't going to happen overnight. These confidence builders aren't going to happen overnight. It's something that you do have to focus on daily, which is why I've created a course, which is why I've put everything into one place, because I didn't realize how much you had to tell yourself certain things until I started telling myself certain things. And then I realized, actually, no, do you know what? This works. Yes, therapy works, but also this works. And so I just wanted to touch on that, and I don't want to talk about it too much because I talk about potential and letting go and things like that in a lot of my episodes, but it does come as part of your emotional detachment as well. So now I'm going to move on to the daily routine that I think you should probably implement. Like I said, I go into depth in the course in this, but I'm going to give you guys, for people that maybe might not be able to purchase the course, I'm going to give you an overview of how I would go about the daily routine for true mental freedom. Now, I'm skimming the surface with this, but I will start off by saying that I'm not going to give you the advice of just keep busy. Just keep busy. Just keep busy. Just keep your mind off things. You know, do this, do that. Been there, done that, made it worse. I just kept busy for about 4 months, and then I openly talk about the fact that I relapsed. I felt like I went through my breakup all over again, 10 times worse. Now, disclaimer, I will say I did not make that easy for myself, because we did go to a wedding. We attended the wedding as a couple with my engagement ring on. So I think I prolonged my healing and also forced myself into a relapse situation. However, they do happen. When I moved into this house, I remember, I tell the story all the time on my Patreon, I was sat at the top of my stairs and I had the mother of all breakdowns. And I was like, holy shit, this has just got really real. I'm really a single woman living in a house that I never thought I would be living in. And they do happen. I had a message this morning from someone saying, do you ever get overwhelming waves of sadness? Yes, of course. Of course you do. This is what grief is. I was sat in the pub with my best friend over the weekend, and he was saying, you know, when he lost 2 of his best friends last year, really, really sad circumstances. And he was saying, I remember you saying that you compared your breakup to the grief of me losing my friends, and it really annoyed me. And he's like, but then when I went through a breakup myself, I realised that actually you were not far from it. Grief is an emotion and it feels the same no matter what the situation. And I always say that like someone's grief is obviously horrendous, whatever they go through, but if you're going through that sort of grief and it hurts that bad, that's your grief that you're going through. You shouldn't compare it to other people's grief, because grief is a horrible emotion to have to deal with. But you can sort of rewire your brain as such to be able to refocus your mind and create a daily habit is really quite hard, and something that you should be proud of when you do it. So I've created a little routine that I'm just going to go through. So in the morning, reclaim your mind. Sleep, dreams, horrendous. If you dreamt of your ex, I had a really strange dream about a guy that I was texting the other day, actually. We were like slow dancing around the garden. It was really strange. And I woke up in the morning and I felt very odd. I was like, why on earth was I slow dancing around the garden? And he was saying like, you're my home, you're my comfort. It was very strange. Anyway, so in the morning, you have to reclaim your mind, because after a dream or whatever, you are going to be feeling a little bit all over the place. So I've called this conscious waking. Before you check your phone, before you do anything, speak into your day. Today, I choose myself. That's all you have to say. It's conscious waking. Today, I choose myself. You're reminding yourself that you're choosing yourself. And you know what? The more you do this, the more you'll get annoyed when you don't do it. And you're like, oh, I forgot to do it. Wake up, today I choose myself. Then 5-minute visualization, 2-minute visualization, whatever works for you. Just visualize yourself 6 months from now, waking up, today I choose me, and you being happy and being excited. You're not grabbing for your phone to see if they've checked in, to see if they've messaged you, because I went through a stage of doing that because he used to wake up a lot earlier than me. I'd be like, has he told me that he wants me to have a good day? Has he checked in? Has he said morning? Has he said hi? Eventually, I figured that the good morning texts were triggering me more than I knew, because they just said good morning. And I was like, why is he being so blunt with me? Like, why is he just texting me good morning? Usually I get like, hey babe. Of course he's not texting me saying, hey babe. We're not in a relationship anymore. Honestly, the stories that I could go into about certain things and how much my mind was in on overdrive were just mad. And I will hopefully one day, as this podcast progresses, I'll get into all those sorts of stories, because I look back now and I think, oh my God, if you are going through it now, I completely sympathise, because I have been there. But make sure that you are visualizing yourself, not checking your phone for them. Being happy, not thinking, oh, I've got another day to get through. Visualize it. It doesn't have to be your reality now, but if you visualize it, you are showing yourself that you have the intention. And I said this on my last episode. It's like you are setting intentions, not expectations. They're so different. They are so different. If you put an expectation on yourself, you will feel disappointed. If you set an intention like in 6 months' time, I can see myself picking up my phone, not looking for his name. And you think, oh, great. And then after that, create yourself a micro boundary. I think I should have Move with Lou Boundary Creator as my tagline, because I just friggin' love a boundary. So your micro boundaries are not bringing him up into conversation first. When you go to tell a story thinking, can I relate that story back to anybody else? Not checking that Instagram. These little things are micro boundaries that in the morning you can do. And then in the evening when you go to bed, you're like, hey, do you know what? I didn't even talk about him today. That is so good. That boundary you've kept in place with yourself. Going all the way back to the start of this podcast episode, what I was saying is self-trust is so important. It's so, so, so important. You have to be able to trust yourself to know that you're going to do these things. Because what is the point in setting a boundary if you're just going to go, 10 minutes later, check their Instagram to see if their following's gone up? Who are you hurting here? He's not hurting. You are. You're searching. What is it? Is it a girl? Has he followed someone? Has he liked someone's photo? On my podcast episode where I said, God forbid if bloody Meta brought back so-and-so has liked so-and-so's photo. I'm sorry, but you didn't go through that. Meta has protected you, because that was hectic. I used to be able to go on and see so-and-so has liked your photo. So-and-so has liked so-and-so's photo. So-and-so has followed so-and-so. And you're like, oh. That would be chaos if they brought that back now. Anyway, moving on to midday, you're going to do 2 things. 1, You're going to do something unfamiliar. Just one thing that's unfamiliar. And these things are going to be so small that you're going to be like, why am I not doing this? Find a new artist that you don't listen to that doesn't remind you of your ex. We loved the Lost Frequencies. Like, absolutely loved the Lost Frequencies. They were always on in our house. He introduced them to me. We were constantly listening to Lost Frequencies. He went to go see Lost Frequencies when we split up. I was really sad about it. And I don't listen to them anymore because it just really, really, really reminds me of him. And so I would have that on in the kitchen and be like, these songs remind me of my ex, but I really like the artist. Get rid of it. Yes, you really like the artist, but one day you will be able to listen to that song and not think of them. And thank God. But right now you think of them. So get rid. Find a new artist. Find a new podcast that you can listen to. You know, if you listen to my podcast, listen to something different. I always plug the Shits and Gigs guys, the Luana podcast, that's hilarious. Call Her Daddy, that is hilarious, that podcast. Listen to something new. Do something new. Go to a new coffee shop. There's loads of coffee shops where I live and I go to two. I go to Costa and my best friend's coffee shop. I don't go to anywhere new, but you can go for somewhere new. Eat something different for lunch. Just experience something new. Just one thing, one small thing. Doesn't have to be like go to a new exercise class, go and join a new gym, go and, meet new people. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you to do something unfamiliar, just one thing per day. Even when you think, new coffee order, is this the new me? Changing your perfume. The reason why I've got a smirk on my face is because I'm going out tonight and I've sprayed my perfume already. My perfume's better when it's been sat for a little while because it's one of those like Araby sort of like Dubai heavy smells. That's how I describe my perfume. It's just Dubai Araby smelling. Like, I don't know, like really heavy tones. That's my perfume when you first initially spray it. It smells a bit metally, so I've sprayed my perfume on my clothes that I'm wearing tonight. But like changing your perfume or deciding to go and change your perfume, go into the shops, you go and get testers, go and smell some new perfume. Just experience something new every day. And secondly, if you are struggling at the moment, name your emotions. This is crazy, but it actually works. Name the emotion out loud and just say it. Like, I miss them because I don't feel safe. I miss them because I want to go out for dinner. I miss them because I want someone to cuddle. I miss them because I miss kissing. Name it. When you say it out loud, you've put it out into the universe and you think, it's not actually that bad. Like, it isn't that bad. Yes, you miss them. You are naming the emotion. You miss them because of X, Y, and Z. Not, I miss them because I miss him. I miss them because I can't go out for dinner. I miss them because I don't feel safe. I've just given you an example of how to make yourself feel safe. And I harp on the fact that you can go out for dinner by yourself. I know it's not the same. However, I miss them because I'm going out. I can't go out for dinner. Go and find somebody you can go out for dinner with. Name it. Say it into the world. And then you're like, do you know what? I could probably actually do that without them. Therefore, I don't miss them. I just miss doing that certain thing. I was awful when it came to going out for dinner because I loved going out for dinner, and there's a restaurant in my sort of like 10 minutes away from where I live. My friend said that he went there the other day on a date and I was so sad. I was like, I used to love going in there in the summer. We used to sit outside, the wine's amazing. We'd have like Italian tapas. I don't even know if I'd be able to eat in there anymore now. I'm gluten-free, but we used to sit there and it brought back so many memories. And I was saying to him, me and my ex used to go there all the time and I've not been there since we split up. Actually, no, tell a lie. I took Isabel, my best friend, there once for her birthday. But it's funny because you do think, I can't do that anymore because I'm not with them. You can do friggin' anything, but baby steps. In the evening, you need to rewire your subconscious because you're gonna go to sleep and we don't want to dream about them. So, number one, get your journal out, get your phone out and your notes. Say 3 things that I have done for myself today. It could be anything. Even if they're the tiniest things, reinforce to yourself that you have your own back. This is so important. You have to have your own back. Like I said in the beginning, self-trust. How are you ever going to be able to trust yourself if you can't create a boundary, you can't stick to it, and you can't write it down at the end of the day? It's all a process. So write down 3 things that you have done that you have had your back in today. So for example, if you created that boundary of not checking your ex's Instagram, and you have not checked your ex's Instagram, and you are going to sleep knowing that there is a burning desire to check your ex's Instagram, and you've not done that, write it down. You've had your own back. You've protected your peace today. If you've had a bad day, have a grief period at night. Have 10 minutes in bed that you might feel really sad, and you might have like come across something today that's made you feel really sad, and you can cry, scream into a pillow. I always say I've got one song that I can listen to and it will make me cry instantly. Sometimes when I feel like I've got like pent up emotion, that's what I do. I just put that song on and I cry, and it might seem like a little bit psychotic, but sometimes you have to do that. But then get rid of it intentionally. Get up, jump around, shake your body, do like jumping jacks, or like just jump around, or just even just shaking your limbs, like shake off the emotion. And like, I'm very visual, we all know that, I say it all the time. I have to do stuff like this because I have to imagine myself doing it, like staging my house and stuff. I have to see it. I'm very visually minded, but like jump up and down, shake the emotion off. And what you're doing there is you're telling yourself that it is okay to get upset. It's okay to feel like, oh, I really can't get away from this. I really can't detach. And this is like the one thing that I've had like so much difficulty today with detaching from. I'm going to get upset about it, and then I'm going to shake it off. This is so important. If you just cry there and, you know, roll over, go to sleep in your sadness, you've done nothing that is going to show you that you are going to move forward and move past this. And then you can say out loud, or you can write it down, just a nice nightly affirmation, which is like, I don't chase, I replace the space that they've left with self-trust, self-care and loyalty. I have my own back. You know, you can create any affirmation, and I've got so many affirmations in the course that you can use, and you can choose the ones that are like are gonna relate to your day or relate to you at that time. It's so important. Affirmations are so powerful. And I think it is hard sometimes because I don't like doing the whole university affirmations, gratitudes all the time, because I know that it doesn't sometimes suit people. But I was one of those people, and now I just affirm everything daily. Like even when I was doing my makeup this morning, my skin's really bad at the moment. I've got so much makeup on. I don't usually wear this much makeup, but like I've got so much makeup on, and I used to really struggle with acne, and I affirmed to myself that like, this is just temporary. It's just your hormones. It's just your hormones. You have beautiful skin. And like, I feel great. I don't feel like I need to, I've obviously covered it up for recording and stuff, but like, I can't wait to then take my makeup off and let my skin breathe, because I've affirmed to myself that I have beautiful skin, and I believe it. It's just a breakout. Obviously this is minor, it's small compared to like going through a breakup and stuff, but those affirmations do help you. So I don't know whether you've realised the whole of that episode I didn't say detach that often, and you're probably sat there thinking, she didn't say detach very often, and I feel like she hasn't just sat there and said, block them on Instagram, do this, do that. No. What we've just done is gone into why you can't detach from your ex, the mindset shifts to detach from your ex, and then we've done a small practical exercise and built a routine that you can take into your daily life that is going to help you move forward with mentally detaching from your ex. It's not physically detaching from your ex, it's mentally. And it all starts with self-trust, and it all starts with that mindset shift. I don't have to sit here and be like, this is going to make you detach from your ex. What I want to sit here and say is, all these little things that you're putting together, you will then at the end of the day think, I've not thought about my ex. Oh, maybe I am detaching. And the days, like I said, that you do have those days where you do feel a little bit like, oh, this is so overwhelming, I'm having a lot of upset, I can't get past it, then just know that at the end of the day you get that 10 minutes to be upset about it, and then you shake it out and you know what to do. Follow up with your affirmations. You're not going to bed sad. Your subconscious isn't going to then make you dream about all the things that you and your ex could have got up to, could have done, me dancing around the garden with somebody. All of those things are going to be a lot calmer. Your mind's going to be a lot calmer. And that's why I said the emotional detachment comes before the physical detachment. And most importantly, you have to remember that you don't detach because you don't care. All of this isn't because you don't care. You detach because you care more about yourself. And I always say this and I will go back to it every single time. It is just you and you now. And if you aren't going to create boundaries, if you aren't going to be able to learn about, how your mind works, and if you're not going to create boundaries, if you're not going to be able to trust yourself, if you can't do everything that I've put into this episode, then you are going to continually hurt yourself and you're going to wonder why you can't emotionally detach from your ex. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed doing that. I love being able to give practical advice and be able to say hey, I've done this and it really works. If you want more on detaching from your ex, like I said, this guide is going live over the weekend. It is going to be, I don't know how many pages we're at to now, but it's going to be 20-ish page guide about how to detach from your ex, how to implement more into that routine. I go into journal prompts, I go into a proper routine, I go into how to bring your mind back to the center of looking after yourself, not, oh my God, I'm down a downward spiral and I'm in a rabbit hole of tried to detach but couldn't, it's made me feel even worse, because I've been there, I've done it, I've relapsed. I said that. If you did want to get more information about the course, please follow the link to my Stan store. The link is in my bio of my Instagram and my TikTok, and in the link of this video, and the audio listeners as well. It's everywhere. You can find it everywhere. I really hope it helps. And as always, guys, if you do want to leave me a review, a comment, or anything on these episodes, please do. It really warms my heart. I'll be able to report back to you about how much abuse I've had on my TikTok video and my Instagram video just whilst recording this episode. To be fair, I'm going to check it. If you want additional content like this, like I always say, head on over to my Patreon. It's $4.50 a month. The link is everywhere. If not, guys, I will see you back here on Friday for another hour episode. I've got lots of exciting things to talk about next week. Have yourself a lovely Easter weekend. Look after yourself, guys. Bye.